Would he hate us for loving him this much? We didn't know. Would he see this as the ultimate act of betrayal? We didn't know. Would he embrace the help we had finally found for him? We didn't know. What we did know was our son needed help our love couldn't give him. Will my adopted child be okay? What will their future look like? Where did I go wrong? Hi neighbor, I'm Tim, an adoptive parent and adoption mentor. If you're a struggling adoptive parent searching for answers in your parenting journey, you're in the right place. I teach Christian adoptive parents how to be okay, even if their kids aren't, by anchoring them in biblical principles. Anchors of hope and healing are on the way. The introduction to this episode is the first part of the backstory to this podcast. It's a story I'll never forget. But like anything that is difficult in our lives, the feelings I was feeling that day tend to dull over time. So I allow myself to go back and feel those feelings as if it were yesterday. I do that so I can know and remember what it feels like to be in the struggle. So I can help other adoptive parents who are struggling in their parenting journey. And that's why I take myself back to that day and feel those feelings. I'm several years removed from that day, but as I'm going to tell the story again, those feelings are coming to the surface. My wife and I had come to realize we weren't able to help our son address the issues that he was having. At the time, we didn't understand what was going on. We had become aware of a residential treatment facility that hopefully could help him in the ways that we couldn't. We made the painful decision to take him to this facility. And that's where I'll pick up with the story. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was a long car ride. Fortunately, he slept most of the way. We told him, and truthfully so, that we were taking him to see a therapist. We were in constant contact with the treatment facility as we were driving to it. And when we got there, the staff met us. There were some individuals who took Jonny and escorted him to another part of the facility. And my wife and I went to meet with some of the therapists that were working there. They explained the treatment he would be receiving, the treatment team that he would have that would help him address the issues that made it necessary for us to be there in the first place. After we had finished that visit, they took us to a small cabin where we had to say goodbye. As we entered this cabin, Jonny was seated in the middle. He was surrounded by staff. I remember walking up to him and putting my hand on his shoulder. He wouldn't look at me. I remember telling him, "Mom and I love you. We are going home, but you're not coming with us." As I tell this story to you now, it's gut-wrenching. This was one of the hardest days of my life. We were leaving our son with complete strangers. We were trusting they knew what to do to help him. Some of these people that we left him with had been on this show. Jane Baker and Eric Nelson. They were instrumental in helping Jonny dig deep into the things he was experiencing, things he couldn't verbalize because he had suffered in utero trauma. Adoption trauma is a real thing. These individuals understood it and were helping him to process those feelings. As my wife and I drove off from the treatment facility, we felt like complete failures. What in the world have we done? it had gotten to the place where this was our last resort. We didn't know what else to do. We had been struggling for years, and we finally came to the realization that what we were providing for him was not working. We were doing our best, but there was something missing, something our love couldn't give him. This was a very emotional journey. We had so many questions, so many things that we just weren't clear about. There were doubts and fears that we had no point of reference to explain. And again, that's why I'm sharing my story with you, with the hope that you'll say, somebody understands me. Somebody gets what I'm going through. Trust me, I do. This road of adoption trauma is not an easy one to travel. You feel alone. You feel like no one understands you, no one gets you. No one really sees what's going on in your home. Over the weeks and months that Jonny was away from us in residential, we began to understand more clearly what had been going on his entire life. He was 17 when he went to residential. We had had him since he was a day old. We were at the hospital before he was born, and we took him home the next day. But early on, we noticed something was different. Something wasn't right. As new parents, we tried everything, but nothing that we tried seemed to really work with him. It didn't help that there were individuals who were telling us we were too strict with him, we were too lenient with him. Some even said we didn't know what we were doing. And in one case, we were even told we were failing our kids. That stings. Because of that quote-unquote support, we were shamed into the shadows. We didn't talk about things. We kept them to ourselves because we felt all alone. That's why I'm allowing myself to feel those feelings again, because I know how lonely it does feel when you don't understand what's going on and you desperately want to help your child. After a few weeks in residential, we learned something about Jonny that to this day tears me up. We weren't allowed to visit him for several weeks. We were permitted to talk with him on the phone, and the staff sent us pictures so we could see how he was doing. One of those pictures caught my attention because Jonny looked different. When we took him to residential, his eyes were dark. He was angry. But now his eyes looked different. He looked happier. I remember asking his therapist, I said, what's going on? Because his eyes look different. And this is what tears me up. She said, he's learning to like himself. And I remember asking her, he's learning to do what? And she said, he's learning to like himself. As a dad, to learn your child doesn't like himself, that's a gut punch. Jonny had been showered with love from day one. We had parented him the best way we knew how. And to come to realize that he didn't like himself, that was awful. I felt so bad for him. I remember asking his therapist, I said, well, what's going on? I mean, what is he doing that's helping him to like himself for the first time in his life? And I'll never forget what she said. He's journaling. I said, he's what? She said, he's journaling. Jonny was homeschooled. And as my wife will tell you, when it came time for any kind of writing assignment, he would cry. He absolutely hated to write. But here he was, away from us, and forced to write. Well, I didn't understand what she meant here. He's journaling, he's writing, he's liking himself. I asked her, please explain, because I don't understand what's going on. And this is something that I have said on the podcast over and over, but I want to repeat it again because there are new adoptive parents finding this all the time. And I want to reinforce this principle that has not only helped Jonny, but it's helped me and it's helped others who have put it into practice as well. She said, you can think a feeling, you can speak a feeling, but if you want to touch a feeling, you need to write. Jonny was touching feelings that were wired into him before he was ever born. And by touching those feelings, he was learning to like himself for the first time in his life. He did this deep introspection work for 6 months. Because I saw what it was doing for him, and because I wanted to support him in any way I could, I took up the practice of journaling too. In fact, I was even journaling this morning. I have filled notebook after notebook. I have to say, journaling has been the main thing I've done to help me navigate the challenges of my parenting journey. Let's get to your daily doable. Of all the things I've said today, the one takeaway I want to encourage you to do and to put into practice as adoptive parents is to journal. I saw what it did for Jonny. I know what it's done for me. And I'm confident it can help you navigate the challenges and struggles of your parenting journey too. You might be thinking, well, how do I get started? All you need is pen and paper. When we finally visited Jonny, I was amazed at how he was journaling and what he was using. Because of the possibility of self-harm from some of the residents, the ink pens they were given to journal with were taken apart. The hard casing that held the ink cartridge was removed. Jonny used that ink cartridge, which is a rubbery tube, and a piece of paper. That's it. It can't get any more simple than that. And there's only one right way to journal. W-R-I-T-E. You write. And I'll give you a journaling prompt for this episode too. If you find yourself struggling as an adoptive parent, I want to encourage you, let it out. Let it out on paper. Write down what you're feeling now, what you're struggling with. And once you've written it down, I want you to tear it up or burn it. Destroy it. That's an effective way to touch those feelings. It's something I do all the time. I'll write something down to get it out of my head, and I'll destroy it. It's gone. As we close this episode, I want to end where we began. Would he hate us for loving him this much? Would he see this as the ultimate act of betrayal? Would he embrace the help we had finally found for him? Several years ago, I didn't know the answers to those questions. But today I can tell you, he didn't hate us. He didn't see this as the ultimate act of betrayal. And he did embrace the help we found for him. Has it always been easy? No. But because I now understand what was going on all those years ago, and because I've been able to surround myself with people who understand adoption trauma, navigating it is a lot easier. And that's what I want for you. I want to be an anchor of encouragement for you, to support you in your adoption struggles. That's all for this episode. Before I go, I would like to extend an invitation for you to become a member of our private community. There you will find other adoptive parents going through the same challenges that you're experiencing. They want to support you and encourage you in your parenting journey. Please see the show notes for the link. Until next time, this is Tim, encouraging you to do what you can now. I hope today's episode encouraged you to face the storms in your parenting journey with courage and confidence. If so, would you please share this episode with another adoptive parent? It would also bless me and the mission of this podcast if you would take a couple of minutes and leave a review for the show on Apple Podcast. Until next time, this is Tim, encouraging you to do what you can now.